Hi everyone, you're watching My Africa Is, and today we're talking with Kwabena Boateng of Ghana Decides. As you may or may not know, the Ghanaian presidential elections are coming up on December 7th, and Ghana Decides has been an organization that is keeping people informed about the race, its candidates, and issues that they should be aware of. So thank you so much for joining us, Kwabena.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
With these elections, what's at stake?
What is at stake is ensuring we have a peaceful election, ensuring people vote in a government which is competent, and just our democracy continues to grow. We're targeting any Ghanaian who's of voting age and who's most likely registered to vote. Most people might say our target audience are online, but our actual targets are people who are offline. Because there's only a very small population of the Ghanaians that are actually online.
How are you guys reaching out to this population that isn't online?
We also do offline communication and in the form of community engagement. So since May, we've traveled all over the country from the south to the northern regions to the western regions. When we go to a place, we do two things. Mainly, we do training. We train community groups, we train NGOs, CSOs, individuals, and the media on how to utilize social media to do their work. And then we also do community engagement. So we go to communities. We try and do communities that are also rural, aside from the ones that are in towns and cities. And we engage with them, asking questions about politics, asking questions about what issues are important to them in their community and what do they need in their area, regards to development, regards to sanitation, regards to anything. It's an open forum that we usually have, and we ask them questions, and these debates and these engagements we have with them, we record it, we live tweet them, we take video footage, we take pictures, and we upload it back online, so that the people who are online and people who may not have visited these communities know the issues, in a sense, so that they are more educated about what's happening in other places in the country, not just in their vicinity, not just in the city. Most people in villages and towns that are not in Accra or in a big city like Kumasi, most people focus on the basics. The roads. Most people will say our roads are no good, want our roads to be sorted. The old party didn't do it, the current party hasn't done it. What are they doing about our roads? Education. A district in the North called Gropia, we went there, and out of 150 towns, small communities, they don't have no senior secondary school. So that's a big issue for them. At the moment, I don't know if you can hear it, but I have to put on a generator.
Oh, wow.
Having this conversation. And there's a big power crisis in Ghana now. Apparently, it was supposed to end the beginning of this week. We've had lights out for 3 times today. So power and electricity is a big issue now in Ghana. Education, light, jobs, money. Most people want accessibility to jobs. They want more jobs to be in the system. Ghana is a growing economy, and the World Bank might say that it's the fastest growing economy in the world. But people on the ground, not everyone might be able to get benefits from the oil or get benefits from the growing economy. So people down the line want basic things that can make their life better.
Ghana Decides did do some strong coverage on the debates. I'm not sure if you guys organized it or, what role that played, but was this the first time that Ghana had debates?
Oh, no, this was the first time. 2008, and I believe previously we had debates.
Okay.
I think this is the first time that it's been really, really social online. The debates. The last debates were not as widely available for Ghanaians to consume. So previously, let's say 4 years ago, there were maybe 5 television channels in Ghana. Now they're over 10.
Terrestrial stations.
Yeah, terrestrial stations. Now they're over 10. So there isn't a monopoly. Radio stations are in their hundreds now, and the debates are broadcast on radio also. And the debates are now also being live telecast online, even before it goes on terrestrial TV. And hence, the online audience are captive. They have a captive audience to communicate with them.
What do you think are the effects of having these debates more widely available? Do you think that changes the discourse that politicians have about why they would be the best candidate for the citizens of Ghana to vote in?
Yeah, I think it's excellent and it does help. Case in point, this year is the first time a sitting president and a sitting vice president have participated in the debates. In previous years, the presidents have said, "Oh, we're not taking part," for a matter of reasons. Either they don't want to be asked questions or they don't want to be open to scrutiny. But debates and prior to these debates, we had the evening encounters. And the evening encounters were organized by the same organization, IEA, where the candidates who are running for president had to come and speak to the country for a few hours and give their policy agenda for what they would do when they came to power. And then they were asked questions by the public, but I mean, like select public from civil society, etc. But it's good because it gives Ghanaians an understanding of what the policy, what the manifesto of the party is, what they stand for, and what they will do when they come into power. Even though the debates are excellent and is much more widely publicized, in a few years' time, maybe one channel may want to pick it up and put it up in some local dialects so that people who are not literate can actually engage with it.
Outside of the debates, do you find that this might be a problem as far as Ghanaians who don't speak English having accessibility to understanding what is at stake and general information about the elections?
Generally, I think that the information does trickle down, but also because there's loads of local radio stations, so many stations don't use English, and they focus strictly on local languages. So that is something that the discourse is not only in English on the radio. So radio, even though social media is growing, it's a drop in the bucket in comparison to traditional media. And so even with Ghana Decides, even as a social media project, we ensure we engage also with traditional media because most Ghanaians consume their the information through traditional media.
One of the things that we talk about when we discuss democracy in a general sense is this idea that even though there's multiple parties and we call it democracy, it always ends up being a two-party system. And yeah. I know with Ghana, it's been the National Democratic Congress and the National Patriotic Party that have kind of been battling it out. Do you think that by raising this awareness, Ghana at least stands a chance of getting these other parties exposure who may not have the same kind of capital at their disposal to get their message out?
You hit the nail right there. Money. It's a money game, and some parties don't have the kind of money. And the debate we had today earlier about women in politics, one of the barriers to women engaging in politics in Ghana is money. They don't have the finances to go against the men. And so I think, social media kind of levels the playing field. So one of the parties, PPP, which is a new party which is seceded from the CPP. The CPP was the party of Kwame Nkrumah. And one of the candidates, Papa Kwesi Indom, decided that he wanted to leave that party and created his own party, the PPP. It's only been in existence for a few months, but the biggest social media presence, they have the biggest following on Facebook. And that is a medium which they've used to really engage their audience. Facebook, newsletters, Twitter, and they're using quite a lot of advertising online. There's a funny joke going around in Ghana that Papa Kwesi Indom, the PPP candidate, is a Facebook president. But then their candidate, Abu Sakara, is using social media also. We had a Google Hangout with him on Sunday, and he was saying that by doing the Hangout with us, he was able to speak to Ghanaians who he wouldn't get the opportunity to speak to on traditional media, because the traditional media, because of not necessarily because of money, but because they may be biased, and because they would only give coverage to the two main parties. So utilizing Google Hangouts through utilizing platforms like Ghana Decides, he was able to spend 3 hours to go in depth about his policy and ask questions from the public, and it was recorded on YouTube and replayed since Sunday, seen for over 150 times.
Oh, wow.
So,
are you offering these services to every single party or certain parties?
Offer it to all the parties. It's free under our merit. It's difficult to get the two main parties. We've spoke to them, we've helped them with bits and stuff, but so far the party that we've been really able to sit down with and do in-depth training and in-depth support has been the CPP.
What do you think needs to happen, or is it already happening, for women to actually have access, and why? I mean, I guess you guys think it's important because you're having that discourse. Why is that important to happen?
It's really important to happen because, I mean, as in Africa and everywhere, women, do most of the work. And also in Ghana, with regards to like the market and running homes, most of the women are the women that run the economy. On a local level, women are the ones that go to the market, and the market, they control the economy, they import stuff, they're the engine of our economy. So there isn't any reason why women shouldn't be in government and in parliament and having a balance. With the debate we had this afternoon, most of the ladies that were on mentioned education and also empowering the youth so that politics is an attractive field to go in. I mean, even there's a lot of the apathy is growing, even though Ghana and most of West African countries have large turnouts with elections in comparison to the West. The youth are obviously much more modern and they're picking Western attitudes, and that with that and with all the influx of distractions and the failures of parliamentarians and government, people don't care anymore. So people don't want to go and vote. So it's encouraging them, making sure that it's something that's attractive, and also mentoring young women now and getting women involved. And I think it should be encouraged that more women should go in so that we can get much more balanced policies in the country.
And a lot of people would argue that elections in Africa are not fair, neither are they free. And so a lot of countries are struggling to get to the point where the elections are indeed credible. What role is Ghana Decides playing in getting credible elections?
I think with Ghana, I think two things. We've been lucky and blessed that we've had peaceful elections largely. Obviously, there's always issues and issues that happen in elections, and our elections have relatively been free and fair. But I guess we can't be complacent and we can't just relax and say, "Oh, Ghana is lovely," and so that's why projects like Ghana Decides and comes into being. And so aside from Ghana Decides, Star Ghana has funded over 10, over 15 organizations doing various different types of election work, dealing with peace, ensuring that it's peaceful, ensuring that it's fair, and so they also do that kind of work. So we have a group of volunteers who will be covering different polling stations around the country. So they're going to be our quick response kind of units who let us know if anything is happening. So then with our connections with the EC and with the police, that would be something of kind of early response. And we would also with social media monitoring, if anything happens that's verified, we will also pass that information on. We currently also try and just sensitize people on issues to do with what would happen if something is wrong. And so we hope that by the time we get to elections, people are informed. We have quite a few organizations who would ensure that the elections are free and fair. And we have so much at stake for us to go backwards or for us to fight. So I believe the elections will be free and fair and peaceful.
So what ultimately are you guys trying to create with Ghana Decides?
So the first thing is to ensure that Ghanaians are adequately informed about issues to do with the elections. They really understand what is at stake. They know what is in the manifestos. They're educated to know what the process is on election day. How do I use this new biometric system? When I go to vote, what do I take? Are they allowed to prevent me from voting? If they prevent me from voting, who do I call? Is there, how do I contact the rapid response if there's damage? So just ensuring Ghanaians really know what's going on and are informed about the election process so that they are not disenfranchised and so that they can actually vote wisely and vote on issues. There's a lot of rhetoric on our radio stations and a lot of arguments, a lot of insults. So online we try to keep the space clean of those issues and non-issues, because if all Ghanaians spend their time talking about nonsense and the politicians can get away with nobody dissecting their policy. They come into power and nobody knows how to hold them accountable. And so then we end up just not much. So we want to educate people. That's number one. Number two, we want to empower NGOs, CSOs, the political parties on how to utilize social media to do their work. So that's why our training comes into being. And also just the offline Ghanaians, because not everyone will have a video camera to go to record something from a far off place, put it online, and let people know what is really happening in Ghana. And we're tired of the West and the CNNs and co misrepresenting what actually happens in Ghana. So we want to have our own voice and make sure our platforms which are accessible to the world. And we're doing that through social media, doing that through digital marketing and online communication.